After the ecstasy comes the laundry. We had a really fun night last night, didn't we?
We did.
What did we do?
We got to go see Jesus Revolution, which is a new movie out in theaters now.
I sent you the video and
Yep.
said we need to go see this. And then from there, I started doing all this research about Kelsey Grammer to find out whether he was a believer, because that is interesting to see where that's coming from.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a good movie because this is something that you just feel good about making?
Right.
Are you believing this because it's life-changing and you think as a believer that it makes a difference?
Wow.
And, I couldn't really find anything that told his testimony. I definitely think he had a life-changing situation because he was addicted and he went through some substance abuse, like AA or something like that. And after that, he said he had a decision where he started to believe in higher powers. But he doesn't use the buzzwords that we use. Yeah. That doesn't mean anything. Yeah. It could be that's just the way he explains it. But it still intrigued me enough that this was something I definitely thought was interesting for us to see. Mm-hmm. You had an opposite reaction.
Yeah, because I'm definitely against just the idea of Christianity where it's all alluring because of love and all alluring because God is all accepting and we will accept you for who you are, but then it leaves the discipleship out of it. It leaves actually the decision of dying to yourself, saying, yes, I am a sinner, and I'm going to choose to follow him. So I was scared that this film was going to only showcase, and I wasn't actually very aware of what the Jesus People movement was.
She's too young, people.
I'm a baby. So I wasn't really sure. So I thought, oh, this is just going to be another Hollywood film that's just using the name Christian to get Christians to come in. But then I saw the company that made it, a Kingdom Story company, actually made I Can Only Imagine, that came out a couple years ago, which I loved.
Yes.
And it was so Christ-centered.
Yes.
And it had actors who were very Christ-centered as well. So I was shocked that maybe they were producing something that I was like, oh, this is not going to be theologically correct.
Yeah, we're going to be disappointed in what this company is doing.
I was not looking forward to actually to see this film. I was ready to tear it apart.
Yeah, and so what happened? What were the feels as the story unfolds and we saw hundreds of people standing on the shore getting ready to get baptized. Yes. Yeah. What did you start to feel at that point?
I think right from the very beginning, and there might be some spoilers in here. So we would say, if you don't want spoilers, go out and see the film before finishing this.
Yes.
But the spoiler is at the very, very, very beginning, whenever this stark, closed-off pastor meets this hippie of an evangelist, the hippie of evangelist kind of gives this pastor a view into why the hippies are doing what they're doing, why they're taking drugs, why they're doing promiscuous acts, and it's because they're searching for God. And he uses the saying, the quote, how will they know unless they hear? And I was like, wow, I think this film might be something that I had no idea that it could be. And it's actually truth. It's actually the gospel. It's actually going to share this is the heart you should have for sinners. It's that they're searching for a God, but they're not going to hear about him unless you tell them. So what I got away with from it was evangelism, how the need for evangelism. And revival can only start when the word of God and the gospel is clearly presented.
And along that same line, what I got out of it was a kind of a rebuke that it's so easy to fall into this laissez-faire of they don't want to hear anyway because look, they're doing drugs, they're living that kind of life that's obviously not something that they're interested in, and it just reminded me, even though I don't really think I prejudge people, it reminded me that it's so easy to slip into that because he talked about, we wear bell bottoms and we don't shave we don't have shoes on when we go up on the platform and blah, blah, blah. And it's easy, especially in our circles these days, for us to see somebody who walks into church and know right away that they maybe haven't believed as long as we have, or whoever they are, and they might not be interested in what are they doing there. And I actually had tears at one point.
Me too.
I really loved that there was reality. And what I mean by that is sometimes in Christian movies, everything just is, as I always say to you, is all packaged up in a nice little bow, and it makes it seem like if you believe in God, then your life is going to be perfect. And we all know that just because you believe in God, your life is not perfect.
Amen.
Life is hard,
Amen.
and reality is hard. So you don't get some, get out of jail free card just because you're a Christian. And so I loved that these people were real. They were flawed. They made mistakes, and they were willing to call each other out on it, and they were willing to be heartbroken and then pick their pants back up and get back on the train to do what they were supposed to. And that made it really enjoyable for me to see that they called out the wrong way that people act.
Yeah. And I had tears whenever it was the baptism scene, and the guy like goes out and he's like kind of still unsure. And the guy goes, okay, is this decision you want to make? And he goes, I don't know. And he said, well, do you want to do it now? And it wasn't like this like pressure, but it was like an ask. And he goes, yes. And then he prayed the prayer together. And it was that idea. And they definitely overemphasized the baptism, where he went down for so much longer than you actually are down for.
Yes.
But it was that like transformation and how he was in darkness.
Did you notice that it was like, he was like, did you notice that? I thought that was so what I'm trying to say is that he kind of spread his arms out like he was Jesus on the cross. And I thought that was such beautiful symbolism.
Yeah, and even the way that his hand was like this, and he opens it up. So
yes,
it was beautiful.
It was beautifully done.
Oh, my word. And just like, and like, that's what it takes. It takes someone asking someone else, do you want to do this?
Yes.
And just like.
And why wait? Let's do it now. If you're here and you're coming to talk to me, then. Let's proceed. You don't need to walk away from here not thinking about that. You know.
So was there anything you didn't like about the film?
I didn't. I felt like it started slow. So even though there was this huge mass emotional appeal of the people standing on the shore and getting baptized, I felt like there was just a little bit too much of that hippie, like, let's tell the story, let's prepare it. It lasted a little bit too long for me.
You're like, just get into it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so it wasn't until the subplot started of us finding out a little bit more about who Greg Laurie was and these teenagers from high school and all of that. It wasn't until that really happened that I started to go, okay, now I'm hooked. I don't know. Is there anything else that you wish to add?
I seriously would say 100% go see this movie. Support it in theaters. Go to your most expensive theater that you know. No, I'm kidding. I don't think that gives them more money, but 100% go see the movie. I was just talking about it with a girlfriend this morning, and I was like,
I've told 2 people already.
And we just watched it last night.
So one last thing. I wanted to also say that the cinematography I thought was really beautiful, as well as the acting. The acting is top rate.
Yeah, like totally believable.
So we're going to give it a 2 thumbs up. Which is the first time that has ever happened. The one thing that I think we need to be convicted about is that this world needs another Jesus revolution.
100%.
Wouldn't it be so great if people fell in love with Jesus all over again?
Amen.
It can start with you guys.
Amen. Go out, tell people about God. It can be in a mall to strangers, or it can be your next door neighbor or your sibling or a cousin. But going out and sharing the good news and speaking truth, it's desperately needed in this day and age. And if you don't know how, there's trainings. There's so many trainings. Go ahead and find a training that you can learn how to share the gospel. It's so important. And I was definitely convicted myself, and I will be sharing the gospel more often. However that looks, whatever it's going to look like,
you can be a Jesus freak.
Let's be a Jesus freaks.
Yeah, I like it. So make sure that you let us know what your comments are, especially after you see the movie.
Yeah.
And I guess, until next time, this is just me.
And me.
Talking to you.
From the wings.